Good afternoon, Stockland Green School. I join you from John Constable's quintessentially English painting, The Hay Wain, listening to the quintessentially English song, Jerusalem, to talk to you in this afternoon's virtual assembly about someone we all know is quintessentially English. St George, what with it being St George's Day tomorrow. Hang on, what? St George might not be the quintessentially English person we all think he is. Please do explain, Mr McCarthy, I hear you cry. Well, fear not. Over the course of this assembly, I shall endeavour to do so. But first, let's return to something that's very, very important to us, even in these difficult and strange times, and that is the Stockland Green Standard. So I am going to show you through today's assembly how St George is really sort of representative of the values we hold at Stockland Green School and the Stockland Green Standard, in particular these two. Welcome, value and respect everyone, show empathy, be kind and act with integrity, and to be an active and resilient learner, taking pride in achievements and having determination to succeed. So, how does St George represent rights respecting schools, would you say? Well, first of all, Article 2, non-discrimination. We're going to find out a lot more about how St George relates to non-discrimination in a few moments. And second of all, Article 14, freedom of thought, belief and religion. And St George was also a very, very sort of important figure when considering those ideas as well. So I'm going to take you through the story of his life and some of the things that he's most famous for. And hopefully that should help to explain that message a little bit more. So, I mean, the first thing to note about St George is St George was actually born in what is now Turkey and was a man of Greek, Iranian and Palestinian heritage. St George was born a Christian in a place where the Roman Empire was ruling, and as such, Christianity was still being sort of persecuted to some degree. Despite that, George joined the Roman army. Now, the Romans were not particularly happy with George's Christianity, and many, many times he was sort of compelled to convert, to change his faith. But he showed resilience and determination in the face of their discrimination by refusing to do so. So no matter how much they threatened him, St George would not give up what he believed in and change his point of view, change his religion, change the things he believed really deeply in. And in fact, he lost his life for that belief. Now, what's interesting is St George is not just a figure who is revered in Christianity. He's actually a figure who is celebrated in Islam as well, where he's known as a prophet. And in fact, in the Islamic story of St George, his kind of behaviour is even more dramatic. So in the Islamic story relating to St George as a prophet, 3 times he is executed for denying the Romans in changing his beliefs. And 3 times he returns to life. And each time he's executed by the people who sort of don't respect his faith and his belief, a tragedy befalls the world, and on his return, George wreaks some kind of miracle, such as making flowers grow out of stone or something. And on the final time that he is beheaded, the whole world is plunged into darkness forever because God is so angry at the way that someone so sort of faithful and just is being treated. And as a result of that, George actually prays to be allowed to die. He prays to have his immortality taken from him so that people can stop being punished for the way they treat him, because he's forgiving, he's kind, he's thoughtful, and he puts others before himself. So he very much embodies values that lots of other people would sort of consider worthy. Now, George gives his name to the flag of England and is our patron saint, but he's also the patron saint of Georgia in Eastern Europe, which was named after St George, the patron saint of Portugal, Brazil, Aragon and Catalonia in Spain, and Malta. and he is furthermore the patron saint of Ethiopia. So St. George is very much a global saint in the sense that he is revered and celebrated all around the world rather than just in England. And he's also one of the 14 holy helpers. And this is a group of saints that were generally in the medieval times, but still now to some degree, prayed for help in various circumstances. And St. George is associated with protection for travellers and soldiers, and from disease as well. Now, the values of St. George, as I see them, are tolerance, faith, dignity, resilience, and determination. Now, also something that happened in the past that we make reference to this week is the death of Stephen Lawrence. Now, this was a situation that sort of shocked Britain and had a tremendous effect on the country. Now, I'm going to show you a brief video about Stephen Lawrence to get you to sort of understand the circumstances. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about what Stephen Lawrence Day, which is actually tomorrow, inspires us to do through living our best life. So I'm just going to play the video and just watch that for a moment.
The Lawrence inquiry was the most profound and important inquiry to change the landscape for Black and Asian people.
It made us as a community look at ourselves as well. One of the unique things about it, it showed you the racism from the police, not just the racist folk on the street, but all these things kind of came together.
If it had been a white boy, they would have surrounded the Black community. They would have arrested as many Black boys as they could, and they would not stop until they get the killer.
We are very used to this type of thing where life is regarded as cheap in South Africa. And but nevertheless, it's a sense of deep concern that it should happen in a country like Britain.
I'm afraid this report does identify significant failings in the murder investigation proper. Those failings, unfortunately, were not overcome during the internal review.
Okay, so now that we've seen that brief overview, we can talk about Stephen Lawrence Day. So the first Stephen Lawrence Day occurred last year, and his mother, Doreen Lawrence, has campaigned tirelessly since Stephen's death to try and make something good come from it. And the central theme of the Stephen Lawrence Day is, as you can see on the image on the screen, living your best life. And what does it mean and what does it look like? I think kindness, care, fairness and respect are issued there. Having high aspirations, seizing opportunities, achieving success, being resilient, being courageous and being determined. All qualities that Stockland Green students embody, all qualities that are very much in demand, particularly at this time. And you can also see that it's dedicated to challenging racism and promoting democracy and justice, to helping to be inclusive in the sense that, like we talked about St George earlier in the assembly, that St George was from a sort of very wide cultural background and is venerated in very many different cultures. How can we continue to build on sort of English notions of inclusion? How can we make Britain a truly multicultural, truly diverse and truly kind of equal society? How can we make the communities that we live in happy and productive, and in the future, obviously, as healthy as possible? And also it has a charitable trust to help young people who may be in need of additional funding to pursue talents, or young people who have been disadvantaged. There's an architecture prize and there's also some sponsorship of the London Marathon. So what I'd invite you to do now, please, is we'll just have a quick moment for reflection, thinking about what are the values that we've learned in today's assembly. How have we sort of looked at rights respecting schools? How have we looked at Stephen Lawrence? How have we looked at St George? And how can we maybe apply those values to our own lives in the coming days and weeks? Okay, so we've also, to return to this, look at these sort of qualities that can be embodied in school, but also can be embodied while we're not in school. It's important to take pride in your work still. And a lot of you are showing tremendous determination and resilience. And the thing that I think is perhaps most important in this time is empathy, integrity, and above all, kindness, as things that will be very, very welcome. I think everyone is grateful for any kindness, no matter how small, at this point in time. And a couple of weeks ago, we actually asked you to submit any things that you saw as sort of silver linings, or things that you were grateful for that had occurred during the time that you've been on lockdown. And we had a few responses. A student in Miss Ryan's class let us know that she enjoyed spending time with her family, and that she had enjoyed the weather, which I'm sure we all have. A lot of students mentioned the weather and family, and a lot of students mentioned perhaps looking at the place they lived and using their daily exercise to discover and find things that they never knew about, and maybe just appreciating the time to think and the time to focus on what's really important. I shared a thing that I was really grateful for in it, and I've actually I can go even further on that. And the thing that has pleased me most during this process is that my 2-year-old daughter told me that I was her best friend the other day, which I felt very, very sort of gratified by. We are operating still extracurricular activities and clubs that you can access via Teams, via our website. We also have a YouTube channel and a number of social media channels, and we would love for you to be interacting with us on those. We think that would be a sort of a really good way to keep the sense of community that is so important to the school going. So with that in mind, I'm going to set a brief little challenge for next week. I think lots of people are probably at the point where they need some cheering up now. And I'm going to suggest that we would like to take submissions for jokes from you. And obviously, I would like these to be appropriate jokes. There'll be some screening of submissions to give you an idea of the kind of standard of kind of how risque it can get. I think I'm going to go with, what do you call a judge with no fingers? Justice thumbs. Okay then, guys, take care and stay safe, and we will see you soon.